common threads through all of these were like whole project failures, which are harder to push under a rug than a lot of the failures that we all know that we don't pay attention to. But even so, there are many projects that fail and continue to fail and go out of business rather than seeing the opportunity to find the right spot for going forward on the learning. My guess is that most of us are not in cultures like the one that Rachel just described. They've been able to create in their environment. We aren't embracing failures. We aren't sharing them openly, and we're certainly not excited to make that coffee date with our funder and say, look what I screwed up today. Instead, we're really stuck in our confirmation bias. We're not able to see those failures that aren't the total project failure, that are the places where the evidence that's coming at us is saying you're on the wrong track, something's going wrong here, you need to pay attention. And why is that? Why is that hard wiring that we all have? This isn't, something we learn. This is just the way our brains are set up, apparently. Why does that keep getting in our way? And we need to think about that, because otherwise we aren't going to be able to take these small steps. We aren't going to be able to take the kind of risks and be as creative to have those great ideas. As Thomas Edison said, in order to have a great idea, you need to have lots of ideas. And that's the kind of environment we want to be having in our organizations today. So when we're really afraid of failure, what our brain does is that it actually erects barriers. And I think I can say with some confidence that all of us do this, because otherwise you wouldn't be here today. Why would you choose to come learn about how to get past this and practice talking about failure if, in fact, yourself and your organization didn't need some work on this? So what we're needing to do, and we're going to transition to right now, is really think about what's my relationship to failure? What really goes on for me? Some of us threw out words earlier, but now it's like really looking at what it is that we're doing, that we have, that our fear is creating in our lives, that we cannot behave in ways that would change the way we work and the way around us, those around us would work. So we can't do everything today, but I do want to reference one source that I hope will be of use to you going forward. This work is it's a book called Immunity to Change that was written by Robert Keegan and Lisa Laskow-Leahy. This is a framework that enables us to gain insight into what it is that our relationship is to change generally, and what are our commitments to different things, so that we can get at the root of our fear or this relationship piece we're talking about today, so that we can move beyond it with a plan. They define the immunity to change as a hidden commitment that has an underlying root cause that competes and conflicts with a stated commitment to change. In the context of what we're talking about today in terms of change, is that we're in an environment where we aren't mining our failures for the nuggets of growth that we need to do. What is it that is at root here that is preventing us from going to that place of talking about our failures? There are actual values and commitments that are at work there. So the framework that they offer, and we will send you this slide again after the conference today, but the process kind of goes like this. They create it in a set of columns, and in the first column you say, you really get clear, like, what is this ideal workplace culture? Is it the culture that Rachel was talking about? Is it a place where we are regularly turning to each other to really grapple with these failures, where we don't have to worry about, gee, I wish they'd step up, because we're all stepping up into this. And there are a set of values and commitments behind that. The things that we know we want to change, we actually have very, very powerful values and commitments behind that. But then we really, if we're being honest with ourselves, we notice that we actually do things that are completely contrary to creating that environment that we say we want in the first place. I'm sitting on that failure. I'm not sharing that with someone. When we're writing the report to the funder, I'm Xing out. I'm, redlining all the stuff. What is it that we're doing that is getting in the? What am I doing here? This is not what I say I want to be doing, because there are actually values and commitments behind that. Some of which we heard people say earlier. I'm not doing that because I am really afraid that I am going to be fired. I am really not doing that because I have a high value. People think I'm actually smart, and they're going to know what an idiot I am if I actually put this out here. And oh my God, how can I look at my children? Whatever it is. There are very real values and very real commitments that are behind those behaviors that we do that get in our own way of realizing the change that we want to make. And if we're going to be honest with ourselves, if we're really going to make these kinds of changes that we want to make today on this particular topic, we have to be really, really honest with ourselves. And what is it? What is it that I am so deeply committed to that it's actually overriding all of those strong values and commitments that I have behind the ideal work environment, behind my ideal behavior that I'm seeing? And then the final piece they offer is that, well, how do you know if, this assumption is serving you well? If this fear is really serving you well, is this well-founded? Is it real? And take the time to think, well, how might I test this? Who is my funder? Who is in my workplace that is the person that I know I could take a small step with of making that change? And see what happens. And create your confidence going forward. Perfect. So that's what we're going to play with today. And with that just sort of brief introduction, I'm going to turn over to Ashley, because now we're going to start wallowing in that space of our own failures and our own relationship to that. What I'd like to do, please, the wonderful people, many of whom I've known and loved a very long time, that are sitting in the back row, can you please join tables, because we're going to be doing some paired work here. Thank you.